Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Taurus. If Taurus is your if Taurus is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's see what these leaves have for you today, Taurus. Oh, goodness. We already have a heart sticking right in the middle. Wow, in the upper middle here. And I'm going to hold this away just so I can kind of look at it, and then we'll definitely talk about that heart there. And I like to hold it away so that I can kind of look into the negative space, which would be the white space in between. And also just get a good look at what we have going on here in general. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's talk about this heart. All right, so this is it's a big heart, but we also see that there's a little bit of a fracture down the middle, okay? And if you really look at it, it does look like two people kind of, it looks like they're kind of in a tug of war. It also looks like their hands could be kind of raised. I almost get this image of like, the frustration of an argument, just kind of throwing your hands in the air, like I just don't even know what else to say, that kind of thing. It also looks like they could be going in for an embrace, okay? So to me, this really kind of gives me the impression that there's a lot of back and forth in this relationship. I think that this is probably a very passionate coupling. I think that this is probably something that you get very swept away by. You're very kind of taken by this person. Your whole world is kind of immersed in this kind of, when you're good, you're really good. And when you're bad, you're maybe pretty bad. I think that this has been an ongoing cycle because the heart is so dense with leaves, and you can kind of see on the side here, they're very thick in there. So it feels like this is something that's been happening for some time, okay? I feel like you really do love this person. I think that there's likely, it reminds me of kind of a younger, unrefined kind of love. Okay, and maybe there have been some troubles with getting on the same page. I think that the communication usually is either really easily there or not at all there. And it kind of vacillates between the two. And I say that it feels like a young, unrefined love, not because, you're necessarily young or that this is a new relationship, but it feels like almost like succumbing to these very, how should I say this? It feels like succumbing to the real animalistic parts of the emotions involved in this relationship versus applying some of the, self-work that you've done, your developed mind, your, the control you have over your emotionality, your reactions, your interactions, and all of these things kind of go out the window when you're with this person. And I think that you both just have the ability to really push each other's buttons. You probably know each other very well. And for whatever reason, there's kind of this real love-hate dynamic, maybe for each other, but also for how you make each other feel. Okay. And I'm not exactly sure why you have stayed in this. I mean, I understand. I think it's probably feels very vibrant and alive quite often, if it's the good or the bad. But I also think this is probably taking a toll on you in your psychic area, in your emotional area, even in your physical life. I think that probably when things get really start to spiral, I think that, you know, how it's hard to stay on routine, to meet your responsibilities, and even just, you know, eat well, sleep well, those kinds of things when you're constantly fighting with somebody. And, you know, there's a lot of unknown, unknown future, unknown factors, you know, and also just not knowing how things are going to go moment to moment. Okay. And I think that, you know, I can't give you advice as to whether you stay in this or not. I know that these kinds of relationships are hard to get out of those cycles. And some people, you know, what they call like serial monogamous, or just people that have kind of, you know, strings of kind of dysfunctional relationships, if they're monogamous or not. But, you know, it's hard to break the cycle of meeting love in this fashion, okay? Because I think especially if you start out with these kinds of relationships, or you've witnessed these kinds of relationships from the people who are core to your development at a young age, it's kind of just like, okay, this is how people love each other. This is how people act in relationships. You know, there are a lack of boundaries, you know, and they only really love me if they kind of, you know, treat me really well and sometimes really bad, right? They really are so, you know, impassioned in love with me if they are driven to almost kind of a madness, you know, and it can be almost addicting to be in a situation like this. Okay. You know, but how sustainable can it be? How long can you survive something like this and have a healthy life? You know, that's really the question. And also, are you willing to live like that? If you are, you know, I mean, that's up to you. You know, no judgment from me. I understand. I've had some, you know, I've had some dysfunctional relationships before, definitely. And even in the one that I'm in now, it's so amazing. I mean, I won the lottery on a partner, but, you know, I have to constantly work on how I approach love, how I honor my partner, how I honor myself. How do I speak to him? How do I speak to myself? How does, you know, and I can only control my side of the street, right? I can only keep my side of the street clean. But I also have to decide, what am I willing to accept from my partner? What are my boundaries? What are my hard no's? And luckily I've met somebody who, you know, is just a great person, but also is very involved in their own self-work, which is so important in my opinion. So, you know, we're healing together individually and as a couple. And, you know, I hope for the same dynamic for anyone I know or anyone who's listening. I do understand these kinds of situations can just, you know, it can be very hard to step away from them. And then even more difficult to not get into your next relationship being kind of on the same energy. Okay. I think this is really the big tone for this. for this reading. It feels like kind of this overwhelming feeling here. Okay, and I kind of just I'm seeing this one, it looks kind of like a hook. Let me see if I can get this up here a little better. I just get the, like, they have their hooks in you. I feel like this is something, I almost wonder if, like, your family, friends are like, okay, this is, sometimes gets a little out of hand, and maybe on the verge of worrying about you, but also maybe just hoping for you to have a more settled life. And, you know, I'm not going to say that you can never resolve these things with this person. It can be difficult, but you can grow and evolve as a person, and your relationships are influenced by your own growth, okay? And hopefully the person that you are aligned with, if this is going to be, you know, your person, your ongoing thing, hopefully they have the will to grow as well. Now I want to look at this right here. And this one looks so much like a kind of rocky range here. And then this, a person, okay, and they have kind of a staff or something. And so to me, this is very much related to that mountain climber climbing, you know, traversing those difficult things, going into this spiritual realm here at the rim, okay? And there's even this kind of little floating dot. And I really feel like this is kind of like that thing you're seeking, that that peace that you are seeking, that fullness you're seeking, that strength you're seeking. And I think that it's so alive in you. It's just a matter of kind of getting over some of the hurdles that are based in maybe your love life. It could be, you know, other parts of your life. We all have different difficulties in different sectors of our life, and not often do we get one at a time, right? I think that, you know, the big thing is about managing your energies right now, your attention, your priorities, okay? And I think that this is a beautiful time for you to be working on whatever that is pulling you inside of yourself. And I think that really the biggest thing, honestly, and it sounds so simple, and it sounds almost kind of like, no duh, Lenor, but is getting to this place where you can believe in yourself. I know, very cheesy, to believe in yourself, but to also treat yourself with great kindness and love, and you know, really hold yourself, embrace yourself for all that you are, all of the things that you are not, and the things that, you know, you maybe hold on to that you think, oh, I could have done this, I could have been this, but for whatever reason, I chose not to do the thing, or circumstances led me away from this. And you can spend a lot of time lamenting those missed opportunities. And then we kind of internalize and really hold on to this like narrative we create about ourselves, this self-mythology. And just allowing yourself to let go of some of that stuff, to really, you know, try to focus on the things that you have succeeded in, your little victories, your big victories, whatever it is. Noticing the parts of yourself, of your abilities, your personality, your, you know, your willingness to, for example, willingness to help others, or to listen, or to be a good friend, a good daughter, you know, whatever it is. I mean, there's probably many, many things. But to notice those things that sometimes really do go unnoticed, and, you know, we can neglect to give ourselves a little pat on the back for them. I just get this image of kind of like you know, picking yourself up and holding yourself like a little child, you know, and rocking yourself back and forth. And I think that this, you know, radical self-love, although, you know, it can seem like, ugh, that's like really cheap. It's really kind of just a cheesy thing to, to even, you know, to think about, but also to put into motion, or to do actually like role playing things, you know, I'm thinking of like, you know, these ideas of like rebirths, or, you know, going through a rebirthing process through a role-playing enactment kind of thing, reenactment kind of thing, or whatever. Just, you know, allowing yourself to cry, really cry, let that deep, deep, deep sadness or pain, or, you know, just letting yourself feel what you feel, right? And doing that without the fear of judgment from self or from others, or being witnessed by somebody else. You know, it can seem silly, but sometimes when we actually, you know, take the time to do those little, you know, those little moments, for me, it's crying. I'm a crier. The crying, but also like primal screaming, and, writing is a big one for me too, right? Just kind of jotting down the things that I'm feeling, and, you know, just trying to be really honest with myself, even when the feelings are difficult or they seem irrational, or I feel like, okay, I've done so much self-work, I should be past this kind of juvenile, like jealousy, or, you know, just like not liking somebody for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm really good at, finding reasons to not like things. Not even just people, but just things. And I've had to do a lot of work to stop looking for things to not like or pick at in the world, to look for things that I do like, that I do appreciate. Or maybe it's not really my thing, but I can, you know, respect it. Here's a silly example of that. I never liked the color, like periwinkle or seafoam. I don't know what it is. I think because they were popular when I was young, and I just always was like, I don't like those colors for whatever reason. And, to go out of my way when I see anything in those colors and think, you know what? I kind of, you know, I appreciate that somebody chose this. They must really love this. You know, this, maybe somebody has a, happy, emotional attachment or relationship to this color. And I respect that. Okay. This is, or, you know, this is a, brave choice for them, you know? So trying to change that kind of, change the narrative of my own reactions, okay? A little bit. Okay, now I want to look at this V. We have a V here and we have a V here. And I think that this is a V person who has been on your mind. I don't think that this is your person that you're having kind of these relationship struggles with, but I think that this is somebody who you've been thinking about, somebody that you might want to check in with, okay? Maybe you haven't talked in a few days or weeks or months or whatever. Definitely, I think a good time for you to just, you know, reach out to them. Also, I think we have a little G here. Well, it's a capital G. I'm working with my daughter and learning lowercase, uppercase, capital, and, you know, those things. So let's use the proper word for it. It's a capital G. So I think that you're either a G person, or maybe the person that you are in this kind of, love engagement with, is the G person, okay? And they are central. It's right in the middle here. I think that, you know, a big thing, and I maybe have said it earlier in this reading, a big thing is going to be about, putting your energies into multiple things right now, not just letting this relationship be the only thing you're thinking about, the only thing that you're giving your time and attention and energy to. I think that sometimes it just gets so important and so central that everything else just kind of falls away. And no matter what else you're doing, if you're at work, you're kind of in autopilot, you're just waiting for that next text, the next phone call, the next constantly taking the temperature of the relationship and interactions. Are we going to fight today? Or is everything going to be okay? You know, just constantly. I really think that kind of giving yourself some time to do other things is really important, and not allowing yourself to be so immersed in it constantly. Okay. Now I see here this beautiful goddess figure. Okay. And it looks like maybe a bird goddess or something like that. But I think that this is really here to bestow some beautiful wisdom, to bring you good fortune. I think that this is definitely going to be an energy that is looking out over you, guiding you. I think also, and this is really important, this circle, and there's kind of a hole in it, if we can see. There's this hole. It looks like a well to me, looking down, kind of a well. And if you maybe don't know what a well is, it's where people would get water from. It's a deep hole that is dug into the dirt, land, whatever. Sometimes it's made with, there's stone, or it's paved or whatever. Other times it's just like a dirt hole. Well, anyways, there are things, they're called initiation wells, and these are wells that people would throw things down to kind of invoke or activate spells. And you might be kind of familiar with this, with the concept of throwing like a penny down a well or into a fountain. Okay. And these are your wishes, your aspirations, your prayers. Okay. So I think that seeing this along with this kind of bird goddess is that I think that you should really formulate some kind of physical act of devotion or ritual for yourself, but also for your intentions, okay? And so some of the more contemporary iterations of this could be something like making a vision board, writing a list of goals, or you could quite literally go and, find a fountain or, a place where it's okay to kind of throw in your wishes. It could be written on a piece of paper. It could be a coin, as we had said. Don't go throwing coins into the river or anything like that, though. Okay, please don't litter. But I'm sure that there is some kind of wishing fountain in your area. If it's, I know malls used to have them quite often. I don't know if anybody goes to malls anymore, but they did used to have them. And let's see. I think just really creating something that you can do with your body and go through the steps of, conceptualizing this wish or this appeal, writing it down or finding a coin that you want to use, and then going to the place and actually doing the act of throwing the coin down, or the written thing down. It might seem silly, but sometimes these rituals are really important for us to act out. Okay, it really will help. And also, I think it really actually works sometimes. I mean, I feel like it does. I'm a bit of a superstitious person though, so keep that in mind. And now with this bird goddess, I also just want to say, I think this has so much to do with lightening your heart and soul, but it also has so much to do with your creative sensibilities. Okay, the head is very much in between the emotional and I'm so sorry, my cat is trying to get into this room. She hates it when she realizes that I've shut the doors in here. She says, let me in. Okay, so anyways, this is in that kind of emotional psychic space, but it's going up into the spiritual. So I think that this kind of goddess presence definitely has this like air of like bringing in some clarity, some space for you to get creative. Use some of this emotionality that's going on in your relationship, put it into creating something. Make your art, write something, cook some new food, whatever it is. Steal a little bit of that time and energy that you have in this relationship and put it over into those creative sectors of self. Okay. And okay, thank you. I know for you it's not a cut, but for me it is. And now my bowl is getting a little bit dry, so I'm going to be careful with that. Okay, so I would just kind of want to go around here and give a bit more of a look. And I feel that we have this kind of repeating image. And I want to look at this one on this side. Now this one looks like an owl to me. And here comes my kitty cat, so let's be careful, TT. That's her name, TT. Okay, so we have an owl here with the kind of, the owls with like the, they look like they have long eyebrows. And I don't know what those are called, but they're cute. And the owl for me is one of two things always. And these are very, established kinds of relationships to the symbol. And that is the idea of, great wisdom, but also the watcher. Okay, so this is definitely in this position here. I feel that this is something that is like a spiritual entity that is really watching over you. And I honestly think that probably why you're watching this today, because I feel that you are having some amount of hardship in your relationship, and you're just really having a hard time, maybe even struggling with what should you do, or are you almost like exaggerating this thing in your mind? Okay, are you making it out to be more difficult than it really is? Okay, but from an outside perspective, I think that probably it is not necessarily exactly the normal dynamic of like a healthy, so-called, whatever normal or healthy really means, relationship. So I think that you really do have somebody or some kind of spiritual entity that is important to you. I'm so sorry. Gosh, this cat is just really looking over you. Okay, and I'm gonna have to pause this one more time here. Okay. I'm so sorry. Usually we can just probably cut these really quick, but I'm not great at editing, and my husband does the editing. I just tell him splice them together. But it's just hard for me to do my readings sometimes. If it's not these animals, it's it's my daughter, and it gets hard to focus, and I apologize. So we have somebody who has been looking over you, okay? And this, I feel like it almost could be somebody who has passed, but it could also be a spiritual entity. And I think that maybe this has to do with a C name, or I'm also seeing right over here a P. Okay, so if you have somebody who has passed, it's like a C name or a P name. It might be them. Okay, and then I wanted to go and look at this one. And this one to me is so interesting. Right here, and I want to see if I can get this really. It looks like a person kind of holding something up, and it's like they're holding, it almost seems like they're holding something, let's see if we can get, okay, there we go. Something sacred, or they found something, almost like they're looking through a lens, okay? And also, this just looks so clear. This is that heart we were looking at. So you can kind of see the two different figures right here that are kind of locked together. But anyways, I see that I think that this is really just a wonderful sign of that kind of self-reflection, inspection of self, looking into this spiritual place, kind of using, I almost get the idea of like looking through like kind of a tinted glass, okay, and looking into your spiritual realm, and really just trying to be open and receptive to whatever that spiritual realm is going to bring to you. Even if it's difficult, even if it's not what you want to hear, I think that it's important to kind of look into that, kind of allow yourself the time, space, and openness to receive that message. Okay. And you don't have to always follow every little thing, but I think it's important to at least contemplate it. Okay. Because that will help. It'll help you gain some clarity and, you know, start to think of maybe think of a plan moving forward, something that's going to help with the progress that I feel that you really are yearning for. Okay. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Okay. So I think that really, I get the impression that this relationship is heavily influenced by some of the more carnal, physical, sexual desires and acts and, you know, coupling together, this kind of thing. And I think that kind of in the near future, there's going to be a period of time where that is broken, where for whatever reason you will not be able to come together physically. And I think that oddly enough, maybe not oddly enough, maybe it makes sense really, in that time apart from each other in this way, I think there's going to be some really big movements of clarity coming. Okay. I think that you're going to be going through a period of definite desire, lust, missing this person, really wanting for this person. But I think as that kind of like fades away, lessens a little bit, I think you're really going to have kind of almost like a shot of clarity. And I want to bring this up before I finish this reading off. This is the Princess of Swords. And so for the Princess of Swords, I really get this, it's going to be like a very sudden and strong eruption of growth. Okay, this is like just the life going into a seed and it bursting into, you know, its little, the plant, I can't even think of what it's called, the stem coming out of it, whatever, all of the parts of the plant bursting out of the seed and, you know, coming up above the ground and seeing the sun, and the sun really, you know, bestowing itself upon it, the beautiful balance of the water, the earth, the heat, and it's going to be profound growth, okay? Clarity, growth, and I think that you're really going to have a moment where you know what you need to do. And here comes my other cat. So, I think that's going to be a wonderful thing for you, and definitely the thing that you have been looking for, okay? So, I think with the lack of that physical entanglement, we'll call it, it's really going to prove to be, hi baby, it's really going to prove to be a good time of clarity for you. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up because these cats are driving me crazy, and I'm sure that they are driving you crazy as well. Okay. Thank you, Taurus. I appreciate your time. I'm always so honored to bring you these messages. Please consider liking the video. It helps me get into the algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you hit the little bell, it will notify you when the other videos are coming out. Other than that, please leave a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's going on with you. I always love hearing from each and every one of you. Okay, thank you, and we will see you again very soon.